limited edition large format version of this book, which is £19.99. That isn't in Oxford. So it's just the £12.99 version. I know it sounds tight, what can I say? It's all right. Anyway, without further ado, please call me Jasper.
Well, thank you for that, I must say. I'll try and remain visible. So I'm just going to get all my bits and bobs out. Book. Notes, which are talk notes, which I'll probably ignore. Well, thank you all very much indeed for coming to listen to me talk. This is actually the first time I've been to Canterbury to give a talk. First time I've been to Kent to give a talk. In fact, I am in Kent. Good, so I get that right. And this is the first talk on my 2007 tour. So you get a bit rough around the edges, I'm afraid. So then I'll be trying out all kinds of really lame jokes on you to see if they work. And if they don't, of course, I won't use them again. And if you laugh, I will use them again. So, you know, if you want the people in Reading tomorrow to hear some really bad jokes, then you can laugh at the really bad jokes. And they'll just stare at me wondering why Canterbury will laugh at anything. Anyway, what should I talk about? Now, somebody got murdered in the cathedral or something down here? Did they? Have they found out who did it? It's all sorted. One of those sort of cold cases. Now, how should I say? So someone said to me, do you get nervous giving talks? And I say, well, not really. You know, I've sort of been nervous many times. You have certain times in your life when you're sort of nervous, or terrified, rather. My great-aunt Paula used to terrify me with her driving. She used to drive as though she was the only person on the road. The only person on the planet, driving down these narrow country lanes at about 90 miles an hour with no conception that there might be something coming the other way. But she was correct, because there was nothing coming the other way. She lived to a ripe old age of about 104 and didn't hit a single car. I thought I was really nervous the other day. Spinning, that's another. Spinning in an aircraft, that's another time. It's the first time you do spinning in an aircraft. That's kind of, you know, a bit slightly nerve-wracking, but you get used to it in a while. But I was really nervous the other day. I mean, talks like this, you know, they're okay. You get slightly nervous, but, you know, it's generally all right, you know, because you're all friendly, aren't you? Yeah. But I had to make scones for the WI. Now that was really terrifying, because, you know, the WI, as you know, Women's Institute, you know, they do scones really well. And I got a call from them and they said, Jasper, we got this thing, you know, WI thing that's happening. And I thought, you know, they're going to ask me to talk or, you know, cut a ribbon or kiss a baby or something. But no, they said, we want you to make scones, because I have something of a reputation for scones in my neighbourhood. And of course this was, you know, absolutely terrifying. You know, what do you do? So I was like, you know, practicing overnight to make sure they were absolutely right, and thankfully I got away with it. But I was speaking to an author in Australia once, and he was one of those authors who kind of, or one of those people rather, who doesn't actually listen. Oh, are you videoing this? Oh, are you Austin?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Right, it's not going to go on the internet, is it?
Of course it will.
Everyone see it. I'll have to think up an entirely new talk. Yeah. Anyway, he was one of these people who talks very loudly and doesn't listen to what you said, what you say. And he said, Jasper, do you get nervous giving talks? And I went, well, not really. Well, you know what you should do? You should come into the talk like Ned Kelly robbing a bank. Right, and I thought, well, that's quite good advice, really, isn't it? You know, Ned Kelly, you know, because you know Ned Kelly, who was dressed in all that, the armour and stuff. And I thought that's quite a good idea, actually. You know, just stride in, you know, as though you own the place. And I was in Melbourne at the time this was going on. I thought, Ned Kelly, let's go and look at his armour, right? So went round to the Melbourne Library or whatever it was, and there was this armour that Ned Kelly used to wear. And the first thing you realise is that Ned Kelly was no good at metalwork. Right. This is the worst piece of armour that you've ever seen in your life. It's ploughshares which were like straightened using a large heavy device, right, and then bolted together using anything you could find. You know, sort of Stella McCartney, it is not. And the other thing that you realise is that Ned Kelly striding into a bank would actually be sort of more like this. So I don't think that was such a good idea, to be honest. But anyway, so I'm not nervous, you know, I'm all right. What else have I got in here? Okay, here's a joke. Let's see if this joke works. Do they repeat the archers on Sunday?
Yeah.
Ah, so it's not déjà vu. No, that's not. Okay, we won't do the archers gag. Okay. Let's first of all, has anyone read this? Ah, really? Ah, there's one over there. Two. Oh, all of it?
Yes.
Wow, that is fast. Wow, is it okay? Is it all right?
Yes.
It's okay. Okay. Yeah, I'd also like to point out there are no stooges. Thank you. Reading tomorrow. So. That's very good news. The interesting thing about writing, especially writing fantasy, I think, is that the most fantastic things that you can think of, I use the word fantastic, not meaning I'm brilliant, but I mean fantasy, fantastic. That no matter how fantastic you dream up things that couldn't possibly be true, they end up becoming true. And you go, damn, you know, I thought I was writing fiction. And I'm not, I'm sort of writing fact. And I've been sort of slowly collecting all these little things that come round and have actually turned out to be true. Now, World, which I thought was a terrific idea, this appears in The Fourth Bear, which was the book that came out last year. I really like this idea, you know, of a theme park, you know, about, you know, one of the biggest slaughters of the First World War. You know, because it's the idea behind it, of course, is that, you know, people who run theme parks will essentially do anything to get some money, you know, and the whole point about, you know, the Somme, this awful slaughter, would completely pass them by. So I love the idea of Somme. However, I was reading in the newspaper that there is a muddy field somewhere in East Anglia where they ploughed it up to use as a set for a drama for the BBC or whatever, and dressed it to look like the Somme. And the people who owned it actually tried to get full planning permission to keep it open as a kind of Somme theme park. And they succeeded. So if you want to dress up as a First World War infantryman and stand in a muddy puddle for a week, you know, while someone pokes you with a bayonet, you can. So that one kind of came true, which was a bit worrying. Now, in this book, I do have a certain attack on reality TV shows, which I'm not that keen on. Okay? I tend to go into rant mode when people start talking about reality TV. And reality TV is a difficult thing to satirise because it's almost satirised already. You know, because you think, well, how could you make it any worse? So I sort of started thinking up a few ideas, and one of them was Samaritan kidney swap. which I thought was, you know, a really sort of appalling idea that maybe, you know, 5 or 6 renal failure patients would try and convince someone with a healthy kidney to give it to them, and this would be really good TV. Now, unfortunately, this actually went on Danish TV, and it turned out to be a hoax, in quotation marks, and that in fact it was just to highlight the lack of kidney donors in Denmark. So we kind of sort of let them get away with that. But it did actually sort of turn out true and actually happen. Now, anyone who's familiar with the global standard deity, the GSD in my books, this is a religion that encompasses all religion. It's a bit of everything, you see. Now, I read a little news story the other day that there is a former shelf stacker